Rise of nationalism in Europe. So the feeling of nationalism, the one nation concept, rose in Europe sometimes back. So that has changed the history of Europe itself. So we will see what has happened there. So it started in 1848. So in 1848, Frederic Souriau, a French artist, prepared a series of 4 prints visualizing his dream of a world made up of democratic and social republics, as he called them. So see, the photo is here itself, the dream of the worldwide democratic and social republics. Okay, so this symbolizes and it has some meaning. So what is the main extract of this painting is given here itself, of the world of democratic and social republics, he called. Okay, so the first print of the series shows the peoples of Europe and America, men and women of all ages and social classes, marching in a long train and offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass by it. As you would recall, artists of the time of the French Revolution personified liberty as a female figure. Here you can recognize the torch of enlightenment she bears in one hand and the character and the character of the rights of man in the other. On the earth, in the foreground of the image, lie the shattered remains of the symbol of absolutist institutions. So what are the important things that is discussed in this, which is seen in the photo, this picture is described here. So you can see, so men and women of all ages and all social classes, irrespective of any like class or race, they are marching together. So they are marching in a long train and offering homage to whom? The Statue of Liberty. As you would recall, artist time of the French Revolution personified liberty as female figure. So Statue of Liberty is personified or symbolized the female figure here. It is a female figure. And torch enlightenment. Here you can recognize the torch of enlightenment she bears in one hand and the charter of the rights of man in the other. See, the torch in one hand and the charter for the men on the other. That woman is powerful. So one hand she is holding the torch and other hand is giving the power to men, that what powers or what freedom and rights the men will have in the society. So it symbolizes the power of women here. And on the earth, in the foreground of the image, lie the shattered remains of the symbol of absolutist institutions. In Souriau's utopian vision, the people of the world are grouped as distinct nations. So people of the group, people across the world are grouped here, and they represent different nations, identified through their flags and national costumes. So different people from different countries are here together. Leading the procession way past the Statue of Liberty are the United States and Switzerland, which by this time were already nation states. France, identifiable by the revolutionary tricolor, has just reached the statue. So those who have achieved that goal, like goal in the sense the democratic country, the freedom, so they are already near the statue. The America, Switzerland are near the statue, and then France is also queued up next to them. So it says about that also. And after that, she is followed by the peoples of Germany bearing the black and red and gold flag. Interestingly, at the time when Souriau created this image, the German people did not yet exist as a united nation. At that time when the painting was done, Germany was not a united nation at that time. The flag they carry is an expression of liberal hopes in 1848 to unify the numerous German-speaking principalities into a nation state under a democratic constitution. Following the German peoples are the peoples of Austria, the kingdom of the two Sicilies, the kingdom of the two Sicilies, Lombardy, Poland, England, Iceland, not Iceland, sorry, it is Ireland, Hungary, Russia. So these are the countries with that are lined or queued in the near the Liberty, Statue of Liberty. So following the German peoples are the peoples of Austria, the kingdom of the two Sicilies, Lombardy, Poland, England, Ireland, Hungary and Russia. From the heavens above, Christ, saints and angels gaze upon the scene. And also the painter has put God's picture or angel's picture on the sky, so that the God grace should be there for such kind of world or such type of nations. They have been used by the artist to symbolize fraternity among the nations of the world. This chapter will deal with many of the issues visualized by Sorio in figure 1. During the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a force which brought about sweeping changes in the political and mental world of Europe. The end result of these changes was the emergence of the nation state in place of the multinational dynastic empire of Europe. The concept and practices of modern state, in which a centralized power exercised sovereign control over a clearly defined territory, had been developing over a long period of time in Europe. But a nation state was one in which the majority of its citizens, and not only its rulers, came to develop a sense of common identity and shared history or descent. This commonness did not exist from the time immemorial. It was forged through struggles, through the actions of leaders and the common people. This chapter will look at the diverse processes through which nation states and nationalism came into being in 19th century in Europe. So these challenges were faced by many countries in the world, though USA and other country is near, Switzerland is near to the liberty, they have attained some goal, but this was not easy. So it has been portrayed that it has taken multiple struggles by the leaders to attain such freedom, to attain the democracy.
So what is the meaning of utopian vision?
So first is the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. So the idea of nation emerged in France. So when it happened? Early 1789. Okay. The first clear expression of nationalism came with the French Revolution in 1789. Correct. France, as you would remember, was a full-fledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of an absolute monarch. The political and constitutional changes that came in the wake of the French Revolution led to the transfer of the sovereignty from the monarchy to a body of French citizens. So the first thing, the idea with the French Revolution is, from the monarchy, the power has to be shifted to the people. The revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would henceforth constitute the nation and shape its destiny. And the main idea was that people will be participating, or people will have, in terms of representatives only, so they will have the choice of choosing the constitute or choosing the nation or build a nation and shape its future also. So people should be participating in it directly or indirectly. So that was the idea in French Revolution. From the very beginning, the French revolutionaries introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity among the French people. The idea of la patrie, the fatherland, and les citoyens, the citizen, emphasized the notion of a united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution. So the idea was all people should have equal rights. Okay. So the fatherland or the motherland as we say. So there it is called Part 3, the fatherland and the citizens. So all people should have the equal right under constitution. A new French flag, the tricolor. So they choose the flag also of the nation. It is their flag is also tricolor. Was chosen to replace the former royal standard. The States General was elected by the body of active citizens and renamed the National Assembly. New hymns were composed, oaths taken, and martyrs commemorated. So it is commemorated means showing respect and showing homage. So new hymns were composed, oaths taken, and martyrs commemorated, all in the name of the nation. A centralized administrative system was put in place and it formulated uniform laws for all citizens within its territory. Uniform laws were put in place for all citizens in the territory. Internal customs duties and dues were abolished and a uniform system of weights and measures was adopted. Regional dialects were discouraged and French, as it was spoken and written in Paris, became the common language of the nation. So many things were adopted and new duties, new internal customs and duties were abolished. Internal customs and duties were abolished, dues were abolished, and a uniform system where of weight and measure was adopted. So the former system, which was not according to the citizens, which were not good, were abolished and new concepts and new theories, new measures were adopted. Regional dialects were discouraged because regionalism were discouraged because the idea of nationalism was emerging. So everyone should talk about the nation, not their regional things. So the regional dialects were discouraged and French, as it was spoken and written in Paris, became the common language of the nation, and likewise the French became the common national language. So earlier it was spoken in Paris and now it became the common language common language of the nation. The revolutionaries further declared that it was the mission and the destiny of the French nation to liberate the people of Europe from despotism. In other words, to help the peoples of Europe to become nation. So from despotism they should get into the feeling of nationalism. When the news of the events in France reached the different cities of Europe, students and other members of educated middle classes began setting up Jacobin clubs. So clubs were set up, so the educated people were forming clubs and they were grouping together themselves to share their views and ideas and to adopt new views and ideas from each other. Their activities and campaign prepared the way the French armies which moved into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland and much of Italy in the 1790s. With the outbreak of the Revolutionary Wars, the French armies began to carry the idea of nationalism abroad. With the outbreak of the Revolutionary Wars, the French armies began to carry the idea of nationalism abroad. Means after the outbreak of the revolution, the French armies, so the armies also began to carry the idea of nationalism to other nations also, means foreign countries also. Within the wide swatch of territory that came under his control, Napoleon set about introducing many of the reforms that he had already introduced in France. Through a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative field, he had incorporated revolutionary principle in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. So Napoleon now become the leader, so he has destroyed democracy in France. After the nationalism was emerging in France, revolutionaries fought for it and the homage were given, respect were given to the martyrs also, and common language and common many laws were made which were good for all of the citizens. But after Napoleon, came into the power, he destroyed democracy in France. So first thing is discussed here about Napoleon. Through a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative field he had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. He also changed the administrative system of the country to make it more efficient and more rational, to look more reasonable and more efficient. The Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleon Code, did away with all privilege based on birth, established equality before the law and secured the right to property. So, Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleon Code, this was given by Napoleon, did away with the privilege based on did away with all the privilege with all privilege based on birth, established equality. So privilege will not be given on birth. So it also establishes equality before law. Everyone is equal in front of law, and secure the right to property also. Secure the right to property. Who will get the property, inheritance property or otherwise from any reason. So this code was exported to the region under French control. In the Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, in Italy and Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system and freed peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. So he did many good things also in giving liberty and freedom to people. For the farmer also, the serfdom was abolished. Okay, they removed. In other countries also, so it was spread in other countries also, not only in France but in Dutch Republic, Switzerland, Italy, Germany, all these countries Napoleon simplified many things. So he did good things in these countries also, abolished feudal system and freed peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. In the town too, guild restrictions were removed. Transport and communication systems were improved. Peasants, artisans, workers and new businessmen enjoyed a new found freedom. So every class of people, it means, so every section of the people, peasant, artisans, workers and new businessmen enjoyed the new found freedom. Businessmen and small scale producers of goods in particular began to realize that uniform laws, standardized weights and measures and a common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. So everyone started appreciating it, started liking it. That, and their thoughts were that in particular they realized that uniform laws, standardized weights and measures and common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. So the trading will become easy and life will also become easy, apart from other things, apart from the liberty and freedom. However, in the areas conquered, the reactions of the local populations to French rule were mixed. So in contrast, it is saying that whatever area were conquered, okay, the reactions of local population to French rule were mixed. Somewhere in favor of it, somewhere people were against it also. Initially, in many places such as Holland and Switzerland, as well as in certain cities like Brussels, Mainz, Milan and Warsaw, the French armies were welcomed as harbingers of liberty, but the initial enthusiasm soon turned to hostility as it became clear that the new administrative arrangements did not go hand in hand with political freedom, because now people were not having the political freedom. It was a kind of monarchy only. So increased taxation, censorship, forced conscription into the French armies required to conquer the rest of Europe all seem to outweigh the advantages of the administrative changes. So mixed feelings were there in the people. Wherever the French armies conquered those regions also, some people said it is good, and for some it was not that good.